Hello friends, myself Anupama and welcome to my channel. In this video, I will explain how to write a JUnit test case using Mockito framework. I will also cover the example of a JUnit test case for a void function. While writing a JUnit test case, we should focus on the part of a code or a block of a code that we have recently implemented. Let's suppose I have written function m1 and inside that function, I am calling a database operation. So while writing a test case for a m1 function, I should mock the API which calling a database operation. So while writing a JUnit test case, we should mock the API which calling database operation or S3 bucket or any third-party application. As a developer, our responsibility is to test the block of a code that we have implemented. It is not our responsibility to test the behavior of API that we have implemented or that provided by third-party library. If we want to test the behavior of that API, in that case, we consider that test case as an integration test case or system test case. I will explain the example of a JUnit test case in more detail with the example. So let's start. Here, we will write a test case for getUserCategory function. First, I will explain user service class. As name suggests, this class contains user regarding operation. Inside constructor, I am initializing a database service. Database service contains all DB regarding operation. Currently, I have written dummy implementation inside it. Now, this is the main function. For that, we are writing a test cases. As name suggests, getUserCategory function return user category. In the first line, on the basis of user ID, I am fetching the user from database. After that, I am collecting its age, and using age, I am deciding the category of a user. Now let's move to the test cases. Now, first look into the dependency. Here, I already added Spring Boot starter and JUnit file library. If we look into this code, we observe that in first line of this code only, we are calling DB operation or we are performing DB operation. As I already mentioned, in our code, when we are calling a database operation or we are calling any third-party service or third-party library, in that case, we should mock that API. So while writing a test case, first we will mock this function and after that we will check this logic. Inside the test package, I already created a test class and inside that class I have written a function and used @test annotation over it. When I use @test annotation over the function, that time it considered as a test case. Now we will write our actual logic. So here I am creating the instance of a user service because we will test the function that present inside user service class. If I look into constructor, that time we observe that we are passing the object of a database service class. So here I will create the object for database service and I will pass this object here. If I look into this function, as I already mentioned, we need to mock this API. So when we want mock the API of any particular class, in that case, instead of creating new instance or calling the bin of any class, we should mock this class. So here we should mock database service class. So in order to mock this class, I am using Mockito dot mock API. If I look into this function, that time you observe that its return type is user. So first we'll create a dummy object for user class. If I go inside it, the first argument is name and second is age.
So let's suppose name is John and age is 25. Now we will mock the API of this class. For that I'm using Mockito. When for database service get user by ID function, let's suppose I'm passing one or as argument. That time it should return the dummy class that we created. So here using Mockito when API, I am mocking the database service get user by ID function for argument 1. That time it should return this dummy user object. Now I will calling the function that is supposed to test, that is get user by category, that is get user category. Here as argument I am passing the 1 because we mock this API for ID 1. The return type of this function is string. So here I'll write a string. Let's suppose name is category. Now using assertion I am verifying our output. I am using assert equal. Here first argument is actual expected value and second is expected. So if I go through the function, when the age limit is between 18 to 65, that time it return adult. In our case the age is 25, that means it will return adult. Now we'll run test case. We can see that our test case get passed. Here I will write one more statement, Mockito verify, calling mock get user by ID 1, and I will run this test case. So basically verify function we will use in order to check whatever API that we mock, those API get called or not. So when we call this function, in that time the API that this API that we mocked for user ID 1 that get called. That's why this test case get failed. Sorry, that's why this test case get passed. If I write 2, then check what will happen. So here you observe that this test case get failed with argument are different. Wanted database service get user by ID 2, because when we call this function, that time this will call for ID 1 not for ID 2. That's why this test case get failed here. I will correct it. Let's suppose I have a function whose return type is void. Most of the time developers stuck while writing a test case for a void function. So now I will explain how to write a test case for a void function. This is our function. Let's make its return type as void. Ideally the get function return type is never void, but for testing I am making it as a void. So instead of returning string, I will just print s out here. I will do similar thing in other return statement. Here the value is adult and here is senior citizen. Now I will move to the test case. Here I will remove the return type of this. I am removing assert equal statement because when the return type is void, that time assert equal won't play any role. Now I will run the test case. So what I am doing here, I am just checking whatever API that I mock get called or not. So when we write a test case for a void function, in that case we should check its behavior. Whatever we have written get execute or not we will check in test case. This is also known as a behavioral testing. So in that way, we should write a test case for a void function. If you have any queries on this topic, please do comment and please do not forget to like and subscribe my channel. Thank you.